Hello, this is Chris from Moto Minded again. Yet another video in our 2024 450 XCF-W series. We figured it was time. We've discovered new things. We've put some hours on this bike, and we put some accessories on it, and also want to relay and give you a little preview of some of the products we will be developing for it. And here we go. So I first want to go over something I forgot to mention before. If you notice, there's an open nut here, and you can see the axle through here. So this was also mentioned by Mike at Takamoto Co. in his video series. Go check that out. They went from a 20 millimeter axle in 2023 to a 22 millimeter axle. Like on the linkage bikes. I'm curious to see what's going to be on the XCF-W bikes that are, coming out here soon. Hopefully see a parts fiche or actual bike later this fall. You might notice that we have an IMS tank on here. I went with a 3.2 gallon. They have one bigger size on this. This is going to be good until we put our rally kit on here. The 3.2 is relatively easy install as far as these aftermarket tanks go. These aligned really well with the exception of one bolt right here on the left hand side, this back radiator shroud bolt. I could not get to align. I did not want to drill out the plastic to make it work until I get some aftermarket plastic on here. So one bolt missing, but otherwise a good tank. This is a bit of a head scratcher. Look how low this guy goes. Again, fuel pickup's probably up here. So relying on fuel to slosh into this middle saddle where the fuel pickup is. But a little head scratcher here. The brass inserts, and in between there, it might be hard to see in the video, there is a little like blank in there, so something in the mold, they're ready to put a hole in there, or asking us to drill it out. So maybe they have plans to have some kind of additional pickup for these. Mike at Takamoto Co. mentioned he's working on something as well that is rather interesting to us to see, because I don't see how that fuel's going to slosh up in there even easily. I mean, it's even putting it on the side, I think it's going to slosh to the other side. How do you keep it in here? So I haven't run it that low yet to see, so time will tell. That'll probably happen soon. Another little discovery with the stock bike is the muffler. You might see I put an FMF on here, and big reason is I wanted to be legal. I ride in the Forest Service. I volunteer with the BLM and the Forest Service. I want to be legal. And this is the muffler that came on the bike, and it says competition motorcycles only, closed course competition motorcycles only. So this is not a spark arrested muffler. If you see if I can get the light to align, that screen in there, rather coarse, is a sound baffle, not a spark arrestor. So you have two options: the FMF, rather expensive, but a nice muffler, and you can go with the Fastway billet insert. You can pick these up. Several resellers. We got ours from Slavens. As I was digging into this and talking to another customer who has put this on, he's a friend of Moto Minded. He's been giving us some tips too. You have to cut back a bit, modify a bit. You have to cut back that screen, that baffle screen, to get this guy to fit in here. And with this cap, nothing's really changed. They're new here. They have self tappers. You're gonna have to drill in a line when you do the OEM. Over here, these OEM screws. You have to take those out, take this end cap out, do some cutting, and then install this guy. So definitely much more affordable route, about 1/3 the cost if you go with the cap versus the muffler. You can see here it is spark arrested. It is through with a pretty much a straight through path that's baffled with a screen in here. So I am a bit concerned how much louder this is going to be. I haven't started up yet. I do really like how stealthy the stock muffler is with plenty of smooth power. I didn't really want to change that. I am curious to see what they're going to do on the new XW, what muffler is going to come on there. If it should be spark arrested. It's definitely going to be spark arrested on the EXE. So can I bring that over to this and go back to a stock, but it might be choked up more. So we will see later on that muffler option. Until then, I'll be running this bad boy, and probably a little bit louder, but oh well. With that, oh yeah, we have, since the last video, I borrowed a friend's map switch off his 450 XCF. So it was a 23.5 450 XCF. The button had your usual map, your map modes, whether it be the hot or the traction map, I'm calling it. It had the traction control switch button on there with a LED indicator, a little light indicator, and then the new one to me, and it's in the manual. It doesn't really explain much in the 450 and manual, but it has a quick shifter mode. I took it back to the dealer. So when I had the map switch that I borrowed for a day, I took the bike back to the dealer. They enabled the quick shift mode. Pretty cool mode. I didn't think I would use it much. On one ride we were doing up in San Juan's, I got some longer dirt paths. It's nice to be able to just bang through the gears. You do have to manage the throttle. It's not like the twin bikes like the 790, 890 that has the quick shift modes on there. Using the 690s, they blip the throttle. I'm not sure about the 690, but I know the 790 I had would actually blip the throttle if you're just banging through the gears. You do have to release a little bit of the pressure off the drivetrain to get a smooth shift if you're not using the clutch. But it will work smoothly if there's less tension on the drivetrain. It's pretty nice. I like it. I didn't think I'd use it much, but I've been using it more than I thought. So that's a nice little feature. You may notice that I have a headlight on here. It is not the one, this is not the mask that came on the bike. You can easily bolt on with rubber straps. If you have a 23, or basically a 17 to 23, those masks will move right over. Basically the fender from the triple forward is exactly the same as the 17 to 23 fender. The back half here is a little bit different shape in the fins. So that being said, since it's the same up here, the shape is exactly the same. So these mask interface and the pins, how they do that in here, are exactly the same. It bolts right up. So in the short term, this is what we're doing. We're moving over just the 17 to 23 with our older brackets. We are working on. So this is the new mask. It's got the little wings at the bottom, and it has this. Basically, they're taking, which I like. They're taking the outer mask out of the, basically the support system. So there's a separate bracket now. And this is basically doing all the workload and taking all the forces that are put onto it. Again, dropping a little reminder, a link over to Mike at Takamoto Co. He initially went over and spotted how thin this material is here. And we noticed as well, and we're mentioning it now, that this could be a potential failure point if it's bike versus tree, rock, or something else. And it was recently confirmed. We have a customer that sent us photos and basically wants a new light, but he managed to break this bracket. Unfortunately, it's currently unavailable. It's on back order with no release date yet. And you could get the outer masks in different colors, but you cannot get the support bracket yet. So the first thing we started doing when we got this bike was obviously we're going to develop an LED bracket for this. So we start with the largest LED, and that is the Baja Designs XL series. And we're developing a bracket that will adapt to the same mounting points as the stock light. So here in the bottom middle and on the opposite side. And seeing these issues, how thin that is here, and hearing about how this is going to be breaking. So if we're going to put a heavier light in here, this guy at the bottom is going to be taking these pins right here, going to be taking the majority of the force in whoops and any kind of riding action the average rider is going to be doing, all of that's coming down to this little point here, this thin plastic, and then definitely more of a potential failure point. So after we release this bracket to bolt in here, we are going to basically make our own bracket here. We're probably going to have a billet lower here, and then from here up will be plastic, and we're going to combine 3 of our legacy products. We're going to combine our super mount, which used to remove the fork straps back here and kind of organize some wires. We're also going to combine our dash. So in doing this whole new bracket, it's going to give us room to put accessories up here. And then also the third, obviously, legacy product we're integrating would be the LED kit, the LED bracket. So a whole new system back here. So basically this is put on after, it has nothing to do with the structural part of it, and our new bracket will be in the back. So we're working on that now. That's going to take a few months, where we hope in the next couple weeks we're going to have LED brackets that will fit into this OEM bracket. So look out for those 2 things coming out. We're actively working on them to get going. New recent confirmation, skid plate. In the other videos we mentioned did not come with a skid plate. I've been running the Molecule, and we're also going to get one of the first from E-Line. So in the short term, I'm running the Molecule. Thanks to the guys at Slavens, they got us a skid plate from Molecule. We'll be picking up the E-Line. I just like those better. They're carbon fiber and Kevlar. And we're going to be resellers of the E-Line products. Really like things like the sticker, these E-Line, these little registration wraps, as I call them. We have these in stock, and then we'll have the carbon fiber Kevlar skid plates with the linkage guards. We already have them in stock for the 300s and the older, basically the 17 to 23s, and then we have it for the 23 and a half, 24. Since I mentioned switches, I'm going to be plating this, and it's going to be what we call Colorado legal. So we need mirrors, horn, high-low, tail light, brake light. We do not need signals. So Dan North at True North Motos has sent us an early release of his harness for these bikes, and it comes with this is one of the best. It's not as good as ours that we're coming out with, but this is a rather good switch, loosely called the CEV. You see it on a lot of the European bikes as OEM for some of their EXCs. Yet to be seen what's coming on the 24s, but it's probably going to be something like this. We do not need the signals, but I'm running it anyway. So there's a lot of that harness I'm not using. One thing I do like about Dan's harness, all the power supply is from the headlight circuit, goes out from there. So it goes out to the horn, it goes out to that. The one downside is the horn is on the light circuit. That would something I'd like to be separate. For now, it's perfect. It runs with this lower wattage LED. It works great. And we tied in his kit that he sent us, even came with another tail light and a brake light switch, but we just added the brake light switch down below, the pressure switch on the rear, and then tied it into the stock light, because the way this comes is just a running light, not a brake light. So now I have a functioning brake light thanks to this harness. Look out for Takamoto Co. They're coming out with their harness as well, and we'll probably have both available for sale. But as of now, the True North, as this video is out and just launched, the True North Motos is the option that we have right now. We'll still be doing our forward, we're not going to do a full dual sport harness. We will do a forward light, real simple for the racers. We might add a tail light because some of that's going to be coming in some of the rules with some of the off-road races. It needs to lead a functioning tail light. So you might see a tail light forward light, but we're not going to do a turn signal horn, things like that. That's not in the works. We do have a quad switch that's coming out, a bomber bar switch, like our start kill, aluminum housing. It's going to be a 4-button switch. It's going to have turn signals on the bottom. It's going to have the It's going to have a light switch, which would be high, low, or on, off. And then we'll have a horn as well on there. So look out for a quad switch coming out. Back to this harness and the way it's going off the light circuit. We put on an XL80, and I wanted to make sure that the Canbus in here was happy with that, because we know that there is a hard limit at 100 watts. At 100 watts, the light circuit will shut off. The electronic relay will kick off in the Canbus, and it will disable all of the lights on here. We know this is 100 watts because if you start stacking up the wattage, I tested an XL80, 80 watts. I had it on in full high beam, so that's again 80 watts. I jumped the brake light, so it's tail light and brake light, so the most wattage used here. I added to the harness a turn signal in the relay, so I had the ones, left turn blinkers going, and when I started up the bike, the Canbus shut it off. As soon as I hit the button, the bike cranked a bit, and light turned on and immediately turned off. I got the red light under here, everything turned off. After about 3 seconds, turned back on. Green light, happy. So I think the initial load of the LED starting up and everything else, the blinker, the relay, all that starting, kicked that off and went right at 100 watts or a bit more. At idle, everything running, we must have got just below 99 or less. Circuit came back on. Now, when I hit the horn, shut back off again. Horn's about 30 watts. And so that tells you how close it is with an XL80. We are not going, odds are good if you're going to get an EXC bike, it's got the same stator part number as this bike here. So probably not going to support an XL80. You can go, the next step down that we have is the Ruby R7 and the soon to be launched Nacho LED. The model is called the Quattro. Those and the lower wattage will work great on this bike if you're doing a full dual sport with all those other things on the light circuit. We are going to explore the fan circuit. There's a separate, and the Canbus is a separate electronic relay for the fan, to see where that's at, to see maybe if we have a little potential to get a little wattage out of there, or the more rudimental is just go straight to the battery and bypass all that. But it would be kind of nice to have it, if you can, to keep it in that OBD, or I should say that Canbus, and have it in there. So we're going to explore a little later to see what's the full wattage potential we have for accessories. So maybe the GPS goes off the fan, and we keep, we don't put any GPS or other accessories that might be up here off the lighting circuit. Time will tell on that, but we'll get going on those products as soon as we can and relay that with you. And getting street legal, Colorado legal, of course we need a mirror. We have our double take mirrors that we always run. And so that's not a DOT front. That's a Michelin Enduro medium. I love this tire. It's not a DOT. So this is my bib moose set. I'll put DOT tires on here, get it plated, and then I'll be able to put mooses back in here, and then my off-road tires. And I do run the Golden Tire GT333s. Those are DOT. I'll be continuing to run these through the summer. I do like this in some of the single track and sandstone and stuff that we have out here in the Grand Junction Valley. Those are really the biggest points. Yeah, that's it. I hit everything that I wanted to go over on, what we found and what we're developing with this 450. I really appreciate you watching. Look out for more videos. Thank you.